Now, let me introduce you to this guy right here. In case you don't know, this is Dr. Kary Mullis. Dr. Mullis won the, was he called a doctor? This is Kary Mullis, the inventor of the RT-PCR test. He won the Nobel Prize for the PCR test. That's the polymerase chain reaction test. And the reason this is important is because this is the test that is predominantly being used to get this number right here. This number right here from the Johns Hopkins University, and I call it the fear porn death map number because this is all you see. The numbers that you see on your screen on mainstream media, whether you're talking about the Communist News Network, MSLSD, CBS, ABC, always broadcasting crap, NBC, even faux news is using the numbers that come from the Johns Hopkins University fear porn death map number. And those numbers are derived almost exclusively from the RT-PCR test, and this is the creator of the RT-PCR test. And I thought it was very important for everybody in my audience, and please share this video. I want you to know what the creator of the RT-PCR test had to say about this guy right here. It's super important because this guy right here, I'm going to show you what this guy right here says about how the PCR test is to be used, and then you're going to make your own determination. There's no assertions being made here. Again, this is for educational, informational, and historical purposes only. Take it away, Mr. Kary Mullis.
What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing.
Just to be clear, Kary Mullis is talking about this guy right here.
The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine, and he should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on at the bottom. You know, those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being the...
So the creator of the PCR test says people like this right here have an agenda. Just to be real clear.
We pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera.
What? Guys, I want to be very clear. We're on YouTube. These are not my assertions. I'm not making any accusations or anything against anybody. This is a historical record of the creator of arguably the most important test to date on planet Earth, the RT-PCR test. The creator is telling you exactly what's in his mind about somebody who's being considered as Person of the Year. Very interesting. Very interesting.
You can't expect the sheep to really respect the best and the brightest. They don't know the difference, really. I mean, I like humans, don't get me wrong, but basically...
You can't expect the sheep to respect the best and brightest. So who do the sheep usually respect? The worst in the entire lot, the bottom of the barrel, the scum of the earth.
The vast majority of them do not possess the ability to judge who is and who isn't a really good scientist. I mean, that's a problem. That's a main problem, actually, with science, I'd say, in this century, because science is being judged by people. Funding is being done by people who don't understand it. Okay, who do we trust? Fauci? Fauci doesn't know enough to, you know. If Fauci wants to get on television with somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff and debate him, he could easily do it, because he's been asked. I mean, I've had a lot of people... President of the University of South Carolina asked Fauci if he'd come down there and debate me on the stage in front of the student body, because I wanted somebody who was from the other side to come down there and balance my, because I felt like, well, these guys can listen to me, but I need to have somebody else down here that's going to tell me the other side. But Fauci didn't want to do it.
All right, so that's what the creator, whatever you may think about Kary Mullis, he is the creator of the RT-PCR test, and one wonders if he was still with us, and he's not anymore. But if Kerry Mullis was still with us, would he be one of the first to object to how his test is actually being used today when he said, actually, you're not supposed to be using it that way? Fun fact for you, Kerry Mullis died on August 7th, 2019, just 72 days before this event right here. Kerry Mullis, the creator of the RT-PCR test, the widely used and propagated RT-PCR test. Guys, they're making hundreds of millions of them every single month. Again, that's the number by which they get this crazy Johns Hopkins fear-porn death map number. And who was at this event right here 72 days after the death of the RT-PCR test creator, Kerry Mullis? These people right here. And the World Economic Forum and the Gil and Melinda Bates Foundation. What's the World Economic Forum? Well, it's headed up by this guy right here, Klaus Schwab. Let me move this over here because I want you to see a couple quotes from Klaus Schwab. Here's what Klaus thinks about the planned organized partial shutdown of the U.S. economy in the second quarter, according to James Bullard, who's the St. Louis Federal Reserve president. The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Let me give you one more quote from Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum. The reason I'm doing this is because the World Economic Forum was present at this event right here, the event that shall not be named right now. But look at this quote right here. I'm just going to read this first part. If no one power can enforce order, our world will suffer from a global order deficit. Basically, Klaus Schwab and the Gil and Melinda Bates Foundation and Gavi and the Johns Hopkins University, who are the creators of the fear-porn death map number, and that number comes from the RT-PCR test from a guy who's now dead and can't object to how his test is being used. That is what's going on these days. That's what's going on. And let me direct your attention to one more thing before I get to the super chats real quick. This is from the Cat Dog Cat Corporation, the Charlie Delta Charlie Corporation. Oh, by the way, real quick fun fact. 72 days after the death of Kerry Mullis, they had this event right here. 74 days after this event right here, which they say was the exercise which illustrated areas where public and private partnerships will be necessary during the response to a severe planned organized partial shutdown of the U.S. economy in the second quarter and the world economy in order to diminish large-scale economic and societal consequences. But what it was a high-level pandemic exercise that was initiated 6 weeks before we even found out about this right here. 74 days after this event right here came the Wuhan bat soup story on December 31st. So 72 days after the death of Kerry Mullis was that certain event that you can't talk about on social media platforms. And 74 days after that certain event, we found out about something that supposedly happened in Wuhan, and that became the official story that necessitated the use of the RT-PCR test, polymerase chain reaction. And I'm not going to read this right here, but you can read the highlighted wording right here. No quantified something isolates of said cerveza bug were available for the CDC to use at the time the test was developed and this study conducted. That's called flying by the seat of your pants, flying blind. They can't even determine what is there, let alone using the PCR test to do it. And one more real quick 1-minute excerpt from the almost man of the year himself. I cannot imagine it not going to Fauci. You got in the running, you got Biden, Trump, the racial justice movement. It's either going to go to the racial justice movement or it's going to go to Fauci and the front end healthcare workers. My bet is it's going to go toward Fauci. But listen to what Fauci says about the PCR test.
What's that?
Right. Again, a good question. And what is now sort of evolving into a bit of a standard that if you get a cycle threshold of 35 or more, that the chances of it being replication competent are minuscule. So that if somebody, and we have patients, and it's very frustrating for the patients as well as for the physicians. Somebody comes in and they repeat their PCR and it's like 37 cycle threshold. But you almost never can culture virus from a 37 threshold cycle. So
now listen to what he says here.
I think if somebody does come in with 37, 38, even 36, you got to say, it's just dead nucleotides, period.
So he even says if it's 36, it's way too high. All you got's dead nucleotides. Basically what it is, when you got that kind of cycle running, Anthony Fauci says it's worthless. What's the cycle recommended by the FDA? 40. He's condemning the use of 36 cycles, and FDA is recommending 40. They can't even read off the same sheet of music, guys. They can't even keep their stuff straight. So I wanted to share that with you. I want to keep this under 15 minutes. So please share. If you like this video, there's 875 people in here. Give it a like. It really helps with the algorithms, and share it with everybody you know, because the creator of the RT-PCR test has a few words about this guy right here. And again, this is all for educational, informational, and historical purposes only.